In this episode, we talk with Greg Grand, CEO of G Squared Advisors, a fractional CRO who helps companies build stronger sales teams and improve revenue performance. We discuss how he uses AI for sales coaching, role-play training, hiring, and meeting analysis, along with the limits of AI in complex consultative sales. Greg also shares why he believes strong human relationships still matter most in business, even as AI changes the way sales teams operate.
All right, today I've got Greg Grand, CEO of G Squared Advisors with us. Greg, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Hunter. Appreciate it.
Great. So I'd like to start, can you just give a little bit of background on yourself and your company and what you do?
Sure. 30,000 foot view. Been in sales for, about 35 years now. I was born and raised in New York, went to school in Buffalo, electrical engineering degree, and then came out to San Diego, and my corporate career was largely in semiconductors and high-end contract manufacturing, calling on companies like Google and Apple, working on their high-end server and switch architecture. During that process, I worked with, some small and medium businesses along the way with some of my sales teams. And I always saw the same thing with companies, kind of small to medium business, anywhere from say maybe $1 million to 10, 15 million, that would get to a level and they get stuck and they couldn't get past it. And they couldn't afford to hire a full-time VP of sales because it was really expensive, nor did they need it. So, I do some reading here and there and kind of fell into this fractional thing before it was cool. I think I started doing fractional work about 8 years ago. Now everybody's fractional. So I started then, and it's just been fantastic. So what I do is I help really two different kinds of situations. One would be owner-led sales, where they're looking to scale and build out their sales team and they just don't have the right infrastructure, processes, any of those type of things. Or I'm the fixer. I go into teams that are just not performing at their true potential, and I would go in and instill process and accountability and strategy and execution and help the companies try and beat their all-time sales records.
Got it. So I know that you're all in on AI. And so, but I want to start with a question. Was there an oh shit moment when you realized how powerful this was at the beginning, when you said, wow, this is going to be really important for sales and really important for my business? Was there a single moment or a point in time when you had that kind of aha?
Yeah. Wow. Start with those early, huh? Get me thinking quick. Yes. And it's clear as day. It wasn't so much, and this is where I guess my explanation will be a little bit different. It's not so much about the aha moment of how AI could help. For me, it was the aha moment of how to utilize AI. And what I mean by that is I spent 6 months chasing the shiny nickel and the cool tool. And I signed up for every newsletter. And I have a zero inbox, but I have 73 icons on my desktop for the demo I'm supposed to watch and the cool new this. And so I end up with this folder of 80, 90 links, which I then have to put back into AI to give me a summary of what I even put in there. Anyway, and then all of a sudden, I can't remember, I think I read it somewhere on one of the, AI influencer people I follow, and they were like, find the problem and then find the tool to fix the problem. That was my aha moment. So then I started about 6 months ago, every single thing I do, personal and professional, the first question is, can I use AI to help me with this, to shave some time off? So that was my aha. And then that's when I started building and creating my own things and getting deeper and realizing I can't break it. And the models have certainly gotten fantastic, and every week it's getting better and better. So a lot of trial and error back when ChatGPT, and you do an image and it couldn't even spell a word. And I've seen stuff today where there's like paragraphs, right, that are perfectly written out. But that was it for me, was to really look at the business and just everything I do, saving time, really, and also brainstorming too is also another thing for me, right? I am a consultant by myself, right? Sit here working from home. I love it, but I am on my own island. I have some peers that I chat with, but I just get a call with the CEO and we're having a discussion about XYZ. And I know where I want to go with it, but it'd be nice to have somebody to bounce it off of. I don't type to GPT or Gemini. I haven't done it in 6 months. I just put my mic on and I vomit for 2 minutes. This is what I'm thinking, transmit. And now oh, wow. Okay. Now we're in we're in a whiteboard discussion. And every time I think I'm pretty good at what I do, every time there's something that I hadn't thought of or put a different spin that made me go, oh, you know what? If I took this and did this. So anyway, long answer,
You
short
know,
question. You know me.
well, one of the things that I've been doing, and I recommend to clients and all the rest of it, is I actually schedule time on my calendar to talk to an LLM. I know, like, I want to have a meeting with someone, like you said, maybe it's a brainstorming session, or maybe it's, working on strategy for this or that. And I'll actually put time on my calendar, and I'll pick out which model I think I want to use for this particular thing. And I have a meeting with that, with the model. And oftentimes I turn my mic on too. So I actually, I really love that. I really love that.
I think that, well, time blocking in general, right, is everything we all should be doing. And even, not even that, but also time blocking and color coding. And I learned this from Brian Jackson, who you know, and he said, and he has more clients than I do, but he would look at his calendar and he said his prospect meetings were in yellow. And his thing every week was, if I don't have a yellow brick road from Monday to Friday, I didn't do my job. So anyway, same thing with development and your personal time. So for me, it's Friday mornings. I try and avoid client work on Fridays. It's definitely meetings, but from like 9 to 11 or 8 to 10 every Friday, that's for me to understand the next level of AI, which is doing automations and agents, which I'm still struggling with. I need to put some work into. It's challenging I still am a sales guy. I'm an electrical engineer and I love to play with toys, but I haven't put Claudebot on my PC yet. So,
Okay. All right. So we understand kind of where you got started, right? Which was very relevant to this podcast, actually, which was like, well, define the problem, find your killer use case that's really going to move the needle for you, and then you find the solution for that, right? And so, and you've talked a little bit about your journey, but I kind of want to hear the rest of your journey up to, like, where are you at today? Like, what kind of tools are you using? What have you built? What has worked? What has failed? Like, kind of walk us through how you got from that, aha moment to where you stand now.
I think it was iterative, right? You can't take it all at once. I would just look at pieces, and the way I looked at it was either what's the most annoying thing I have to do or what's taking the most time. So got this app, get an app store. It's called Multitimer. It's free. And it's like an accelerometer thing. And I put it on my iPad and I put it right next to my PC. And I started actually tracking email, phone calls, LLM work, client work, boom, boom, boom. And I realized, like, gosh, I'm spending like 90 minutes a week summarizing meetings manually. I'm going into Zoom and I'm cutting the transcripts out and I'm putting them all together. And then I'm trying to do a summary that my CEOs can actually understand, blah, 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 blah. Right. So, and then Zoom comes out with the AI recording feature. Still
Yeah.
clunky. So that's the most basic thing. I'm using it a lot for interviewing, as far as having a rubric where we'll have certain questions we want answered. And I have either it's doing a role play or we'll have certain things that align with company cultures or things that definitely have to be green checks. And what I do is I'll just take that transcript and I'll do a custom GPT or I'll do a gem, and I have that all set with the instruction set. So I can literally take the transcript up and go, yep, culture fit, not a good hunter, this is a farmer, like whatever. And it comes out with a full report. So that's very helpful. And the same thing on when I'm doing role plays with sales teams, because since I'm a fractional chief revenue officer, I'm with my clients for, either 4 hours a week, maybe 12. So I don't have the luxury of a lot of sales leaders where I can go and travel with them for 2 or 3 days and actually see how they sell. So role plays for me are amazing. I think that is probably, it's not being fully embraced yet. I think that AI role play in particular is the future of sales coaching. I really do. You can create scenarios. You can practice meetings before you go there. You can do objection handling sessions. So I've been leaning very heavily into that and seeing some pretty amazing results from that. And that allows me to set a scenario, go, and I work with my other clients, and I come back and then they send me the recordings. It's graded because I've set up a whole rubric in there, BANT, MedPick, right? All those typical consultative sales type things. Did they hit them all? Oh no, they didn't dig for enough pain. Okay. And then I've got a rubric which will come in and give them coaching and scripts of why don't you try and say this next time. So we were talking about my attorney client where people really haven't been in sales. And I took their transcripts from our role plays and built them an entire script from phone ringing to closing in their disc style, so it felt comfortable for them, and that was all done from a custom GPT.
So I want to dig in on that a little bit. I'm interested in that. So are, are you actually doing it live with them and then it's recording the transcript and then kind of grading it with a rubric? Or are they interacting with a language model?
So there's two methodologies, right? So when I'm first starting, right, my engagements, usually 6 months, sometimes some with clients for years. But at the beginning, I need to do an assessment. I want to see how they hold themselves. I want to see the confidence, body language, how are they dressed, like all that kind of stuff. That doesn't come across on the role play. So I will do the first role play live. Then what I do is I take that transcript and then I upload that into my custom GPT to do the analysis. I know, but I don't have to type a 4-page email to go through. Hey, they only asked 2 questions for pain. They should have asked this. Or when the person said this, right, they should have said this. So that's model one. Then once I understand what individual, like sales training isn't the same for everybody. Different people need different kinds of training. So once I understand where their places are for growth, then I'll design a custom role play around that. And that is actually on the computer. And then they go and they're practicing live with an LLM, speaking to it and having a discovery call or an intake call or something like that. So I use it both ways. I use it for the analysis, and I also use it for them to do it comfortable. And the cool thing with that is to get a grade when it's done. And I'm telling you, I've never seen one come back from a salesperson that was under 80. Well, what does that mean? That means they screwed up the first time. They didn't get 80. So they go back and they practice and they practice and they practice. Well, it's reinforcing the behaviors that we want them to do anyway. So it's this magical loop,
Yeah, that's how reinforcement learning works in data science, right? Just
A little
give them
Pavlovian maybe, but
like,
still.
give them a cookie and
Yeah.
do better the next time. And so those are voice to voice when you do that.
Yeah, I've got examples I could. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The only issue with it is just like I got my first AI cold call last week. It's the gap. It's the processing gap where you can tell right away.
Right.
That
Right.
second of, and it's every time.
Yeah.
I've got one I could roll through with you later and let you actually hear what it sounds like. It's really cool though. And it's
Yeah.
cheap. I mean, it's like, I don't know, a couple $100 per salesperson per month.
Okay. Is it
Very affordable.
so that's a platform that you're using for that? It is. Can you
Yeah.
share
So,
with us
well,
what you do?
there's a whole story with that. Yes. Oh, certainly. So I built my own and it
Okay.
was working really well, except for, I still never figured it out. It kept acting like the salesperson instead of the customer. Like, "Hey, Hunter, thanks for having me in today." And I'm like, I'm not very kind to my AI. If it's ever
Yeah.
sentient, I know you're kind and you're, polite and all that stuff. I'm not so much. I was going to do it. I was going to commercialize it. And then when I started doing the research, boy, there's a lot of people out there right now. So I said, okay, I could spend 5 or 10 grand getting this really customized and done for myself. It's going to take me 2 years to even make my money back. However, there's commercially available platforms, right, that I can just buy a license and, pass the license on to my client and, not even add it up just so they get better. The platform I'm using right now is through Sandler, which is a sales training company. However, the engine behind it is a company called Udly.
Udly.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
How
the
did
one that it's pretty
so
good.
I
They have
hear
free versions. I think you can actually, if you just go onto their site and you can like click a button and literally do like a live role play on, you don't even have to go into the site. It's cool. Just to even play around with it and see the power. And what I like is the configurability because I can set up multiple, like I want to set up just for asking for budget or just for the decision process and decision maker or just how to understand their timelines or bonding and rapport, whatever the key consultative buckets, asking open-ended questions. Like say, I want you to do this module this week, rinse and repeat. Okay, sales meeting. Who wants to demo their recording? Who got the highest score? Hunter, you got a 95. Let's hear it. And then you can use it as a training mechanism when you hire any people. Here's what a good cold call sounds like. Here's what a good discovery call sounds like. I get excited because it's like you're building this massive knowledge base, and most salespeople come in, and what do they get? Here's your computer. Here's your phone. Oh yeah, you can call on LA. See ya. Right. So it's one of the biggest reasons salespeople fails is not great onboarding. So
yeah.
this is a really great, and that's what's the most important thing, client meetings. So if you can have your best salespeople teaching the little ones how to do it, and you can even take that to a transcript and make it build a script right out of that. Like the options are just endless.
They are. They're overwhelming at
Yeah.
times, often
Well,
overwhelming.
that's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the biggest problems. So let me ask you a slightly different question. So a big part of your practice is training, right? And so we've talked a lot about training, all of which is quite interesting. Where are you seeing AI being used in the actual sales process, whether that be, generating outbound campaigns or live coaching during a sales call, or like, where are you seeing it being operationalized in real life sales environments, or are you
So
not?
no, I'm just trying to think through it. So for me, not much today. Well, so there's obviously so efficiencies, right? So simple things like meeting recorders, right? Like the fact that almost none of the salespeople, when I start working with them, are not using, they're still like, I haven't taken maybe I'll take one or two notes, but I don't take notes in meetings anymore. I'm present. So that kind of thing. Front end research, of course, instead of salespeople, it takes me an hour to do research on my client. No, it doesn't. Put their website into this, and there's your research, right? As far as live stuff, I think there's two different situations, right? So most of the teams, as you know, that I'm working with are field teams. So not a whole lot you can do there. I think the viability of I just was turned on to something last week. Haven't even looked at it. I want to say the company's name was CallRail or something like that. But it was like for inside sales teams where when it was on, they could measure their sentiment and their talk time. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's almost like a dumbed down version of Gong to me, you know? So I think with those teams, but like, when you're a field guy and I'm coming and sitting down with the CEO in a room, I don't, except for taking the notes, and I don't know about a use case for that for my type of clients. I think, call center type stuff and things like, yeah, absolutely. There's a case with, I don't know, maybe Ring Central's doing that stuff or something like that. But I'm more focused on, complex, high dollar, long sales cycle, multiple decision maker type of things. And I don't think coming in and popping up my plod pin in the middle of the room would go over too well.
Yeah, and that's a trend I'm seeing across a lot of industries, right? Which is, it's helping a lot with preparation, with back office, with administration, with HR, with, training, all of that stuff. Where it's lagging behind is in the actual doing of the thing that you do, like the end result of your job, right? That's where it's a little further behind some of the more back office non-client facing stuff.
I think I just came up with the ultimate use on this call right now.
What is it? What's your
Okay.
killer use case?
Every sales leader in the world will feel this one. So one of the biggest things that's a bit frustrating for us is managing salespeople's CRM and their pipeline. And the issue since history started and ends is that when a sales leader looks at a pipeline, you will inevitably see deals in three situations. They're in the wrong sales stage, wrong dollar amount. Most importantly, the close date is in the past.
Yes.
So what I'm thinking, and we can steal this, I might buy it from you, web automation that goes into your CRM, goes through all your sales stages and looks at all the dates. And if they are in the past, it pushes them out 30 days.
I love it. I would be your first customer. That's
I
exactly
would be
what
my own first customer.
yeah, that's exactly what my CRM looks like. I got deals closing
Exactly.
in
You and everybody else,
November of
buddy.
2025, right?
I know, man. It's a sorry state we live in CRMs, but it's, I was talking with a new sales leader just earlier this morning, and I said, it's, you spend your life and you climb up and you get up to the top. I said, now you've turned into a kindergarten cop. I have all the
Yeah.
respect for salespeople in the world, lifelong sales guy. At the top, though, there is a level of that we have to do that's not glamorously fun.
Well, it's kind of a cruel reality that success tends to mean that you get to do less of the thing that you started off doing and loving, and it morphs into managing people, right? Like, if I had my druthers, I don't know the answer to this, but I might choose to just write code all day. I freaking love writing code. It's really fun. It's good for my brain. I'm solving problems, all the rest of it. But there's there's a ceiling on that, right? And my ambition kind of outweighed my desire to just write code all day. And if you could probably go out and have a great time selling all day, but like you said, when you get to a certain level of seniority, you're expected to like move up into management, you know? It's it's kind of a cruel twist of fate there.
Well, it's interesting because sometimes it boomerangs. When I'm interviewing for sales leaders, yes. When I'm interviewing for hunting salespeople, I've had at least a dozen interviews last year with VP of sales that were interviewing for bag carrying hunting jobs. And my question is, of course, you know why this question's coming. Why? And they laugh at me every time. They go, "You need to ask." Can't argue the point. I mean, I love what I do, but the thing is, it's different, right? And I think it's different if you're in a corporation where I get to go out and help clients that are struggling and build them out infrastructure and process that's going to be able to get them to scale. And then I move on. I think it gets a lot harder when you're under the roof with the culture and all the things that have to go on and where you have to play nice with others.
That is a big difference. I do agree with that. Well, actually, kind of one more question about your practice specifically. Tell me your top 3 or 4 or 5 AI tools that you're using for your job today that are really moving the needle for you.
All right. So some of them will just have AI sprinkled into them, but they're tools that I use on a very regular basis. Duck Soup is my favorite tool for LinkedIn. I think you're familiar with that. So that will help you go and make connections and things like that. They're bringing a bunch of different AI functionality into that. I mean, it's going to sound so ridiculous, but the models, right? So I'm just ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, and Perplexity, and Grok, depending. I think the cool thing that I just started, which is an add-in, which I started using a couple weeks ago, it's called Chat Hub. It's just a Google extension. You can put 4 models up and put the prompt in at the bottom, and all 4 models will run. Now, the thing that I started using yesterday, which just came out yesterday, I think it's called Perplexity, the Council, I think it's called, something Council. And what that'll do, it's actually pretty cool, is you put in one, it'll put it on 3 models, and then it looks at and aggregates all 3 into what it would consider would be the best response. So that's kind of cool.
Ooh, I really like that.
Yeah, just released yesterday. It's a little plus button there. Yeah. So that for sure. I mean, simple, but Zoom, right? Zoom's got a bunch of AI functionality that I use for the meeting recordings. There, nothing for CRM right now. A lot of stuff that, I'm using CRM. I guess the thing is, I'm not using a lot of commercially available tools. So commercially available tools I'm using are the LLMs. I'm,
And
for the most part, creating what I need because I haven't found the right solution out there yet.
yeah. And that is where we're at right now, is that, the foundational technology is there, but the application level has not really reached a maturity where it can solve a lot of problems. So you have to very much be hands-on to, really get the most juice out of these large language models and RAG databases and all the rest of
Well,
it.
yeah, I mean, I'm dying to get an agent running, but I still, N8N, and I'm doing automations with Make. Still not easy though. And 8 and 9 of the ends, it's GUI, it's drag and drop. Still not easy though for a guy like me, So I'm looking forward to commercially available agents for normal people. Is that
And
this year?
when you say agent, you mean probably like a browser agent, something that can click
Well,
around
I
the
can do
internet.
that now with Axiom, right?
Okay. So
So
when you
Axiom,
say agent, tell me what you mean.
like where it would do multiple things. Like, so maybe a use case for me. Let's just say, I'm just throwing this out there in my head. So at the end of the day, the agent goes into my Zoom. It scrapes all my transcripts out of there. It goes into GPT. It does a TLDR summary with the top 5 things that are good that happen, the top 5 things that need work, full meeting transcript. Then it goes from there into my email and drafts that email to the CEO and the COO and CCs me. And then it goes ahead and sets a meeting for the next week to go over the material. That would be something that I would see, a workflow type, going in and out of different software programs.
Okay.
Because all that takes a lot of time to do. The other thing that I just started playing around with, which decided to create my own too. Someone turned me onto this app called, I don't know how you say it, FYXER. fixer, fixer. And what it does is it's like a email responder for you, kind of. So you get the email, it'll come up with a theoretical response and put it in your drafts. But I found that it wasn't in my voice and I didn't like the responses. But I think that would be really cool. So like this, like we're talking for an hour. In this hour, I'm probably going to get 15 emails. If I can go back to my email and there's drafts for all those, and maybe I need to add a word or two, or maybe a couple of them suck. But did that save me 15 minutes? Absolutely. But anyway, I didn't like that one. So now I'm building my own through Make, where I'm going to actually connect GPT into my, because I think Copilot stinks. I'm sorry, but I think it's really bad.
I have yet to meet someone that likes Copilot.
I mean, if I put an email and I click to come up to put a response, it takes like 2 minutes to even get the pane to pop up. It's like,
Yeah.
what? It's like
Literally 0 people. I have yet to meet the person
and
that
we're
said,
like the biggest investor in OpenAI. Maybe there's a reason. I don't know.
all right. Okay. So, to kind of, I'd like to zoom out a little bit and try to look forward. And I'm not going to ask you about 5 years because that's goofy. We could be living on the moon in 5 years, but in the next like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 at the longest, how do you see what's starting to emerge in tech and in AI impacting sales and revenue generation? What would you say would be some trends that we should be anticipating in the coming year or two?
Well, I'll tell you, the trend that's now is if you're in sales and you're not using AI, you're in trouble and you're falling behind because I'm faster and better than you, because the computer's faster and better than me. Right. So use the tools. I think where it's going to get really interesting is the age we're heading into is really going to separate the true consultative salespeople from the product pushers, because we don't need product pushers anymore, because we can do automated sequences in our CRM, which, by the way, I'll be the first one to knock on the table that email prospecting is good luck these days.
Yeah.
All right. I never call anything dead in sales, but it's as close to anything as ever been. Right. So I think you're seeing it now, AI BDR, right? And I get these things every day come up on my social media, right? So AI BDRs are going to be a real thing. And I think depending on the complexity, they can potentially be successful. I don't know. Not sure. But the people who can go into a room and sit down and have a discussion with somebody and understand what their challenges are, what solutions that you can bring to the table to make their life easier, to make their business better. I don't see AI ever being able to do that. Maybe, I don't know. You can't get that human connection, and people buy from people they trust and like. I'm going to buy something off for $20, gym membership. Maybe I'll do that over a phone to a stranger. Right? Are you hiring a consultant that costs X $100 an hour from a cold email or a cold call? Probably not. Right. So I think that it's just that most of the sales teams that I work with, there's an A player or two in the rest, and that's universal. So, okay, let's look at this. Let's look at real life. So the business BDR rep, business development rep function, their job is to set appointments for the CEO or, the head salesperson. I've tried this now 4 times in 4 years. It's failed every single time. Training, coaching, scripts, the whole thing, right? So what I think the trend is I think those lower skill level transactional type of salespeople do have a potential of being displaced by AI.
Yeah. That's
The more
not,
the product, the less. That's why the BDRs don't work. If you try all these people trying out, we're going to go to the Philippines and we're going to hire BDRs. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. They're going to be able to sell your cybersecurity product, your IT product. Like, no. As soon as they ask one question, it's crash and burn.
yeah.
Right? And they wonder. Ask anybody you know that you run into in business, anybody you know that hired an outside BDR firm that succeeded. And let me know, because I got billions of dollars of business for them.
Yeah. Never heard of it. Doesn't
No.
exist as far as I know.
Exactly.
And that, and that's interesting. And that's not just sales.
Hmm.
It creates a very interesting problem across a lot of industries, which is the junior folks are the ones that are being displaced. And how do you get mid-level and senior folks when they don't have anywhere to start. You know, like a lot of salespeople, their first year, they were banging phones, you know? And so, like, you know, it's the same problem with developers. Claude Code can write better code than a developer that's fresh out of college today.
Yes. Yeah.
Fact. But like, where do the senior and mid-level engineers come from if they don't start as juniors, right?
Yeah.
And then that in my brain is a completely unsolved problem. The only thing I can come up with is that the big corporations are going to continue to pay to train those people, and then
Yeah.
maybe we can take them once they're mid-level and senior. But that doesn't feel very sustainable for me.
Yeah. So I think that trend is for me, while I love the technology and use as much as I can, but still maintaining that human touch. So, like for me, I've leaned a lot heavier in my engage. So, real story. My engagements are very personalized, very structured, and a lot of hands-on time. Lots of meetings with the sales team, with the owners. Right. There are people who claim to do what I do, and they'll go and they'll charge somebody 30 grand for a sales playbook. Right. And that's playbook with everybody you will talk to a year later will be in the corner with dust on it. Outside of that, though, I've heard through the channels that those guys are really struggling because whether it's right or wrong, I can build a sales playbook in AI. I don't know if it's exactly right, but I can say I need a sales playbook for my 2025. Here's my website. It's going to suck, but at least to get right. So, but for somebody to say, hey, you know, I got this in 5 minutes. If I probably spent 6 hours on this, and I could probably get something that's maybe workable. So I don't even do sales playbooks. I'm like, no, that's a quick way. So I think it for you, for me, for everybody is what's your value in the picture? How do you stop yourself from a computer taking your job? Provide more value.
Right. And you know, you mentioned this, and this has been a through line. It's about authenticity. There's a war on authenticity right now. And as much as you can expose yourself to people in an authentic way to build that human connection,
Mhm.
that's how you get above the noise,
Right.
right? That's why you and I are here talking in real life, right? Because it's authentic and people will care. They'll be interested and they'll watch, and it's not AI slop, you know?
Well, yeah, we go back to, however long it's been said, people buy from people they trust and like. That's never going to change ever.
It's all about trust.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
all right. So, you know, wrapping up here, I want to, you know, you mentioned something earlier that I wanted to finish up with. You know, you said if you're not using AI, you're going to get left behind, and you're already behind a bit. So that's scary, and but only so helpful. So let me ask, if that is someone listening to this podcast, where can they start? It's overwhelming. It's hard to know. There's so many tools. There's so many things to read. It's new every day. Where would you recommend that they get started in implementing AI practice into their own sales operations or as sales leaders or coming into the business? Like where can they start?
Great question. And there's so many different ways to answer that. So first thing is I would say find somebody you like that's an influencer. So I'll just throw a name out there because this is how I started learning. A guy named is Jeff Su, Jeffsu. Don't know the guy, but he was an ex project manager from Google, and he built this like 0 to 12, 15-minute things. Like maybe took an hour and a half of just basics. What's an LLM? And he's continued to do more stuff. So that got me starting to get the traction. What really turned it on for me is I signed up for 2 AI newsletters. And I started listening to an AI podcast. So every day I listen to the AI Daily Brief on Spotify, and I'm subscribed to Superhuman, the AI Breakfast, one other one, 3 newsletters. And my routine, my 30-minute in the morning is I have a 30-minute AI routine. So I look through the AI Daily Digest, make sure I'm catching the coolest stuff that's going on, snip a thing or two out of that, or maybe I'll just that's another thing, right? YouTube. Oh my God. All right. Sales training, YouTube video. Like, oh, let's throw it into Gemini and just have it summarize the whole thing and give me the top 5 bullets I need to know and save yourself an hour, right? Digress. So I think that that certainly can be helpful to do those things, because then you're going to see what's happening every day. And then what's going to happen is when you scroll through the newsletter, you're going to start to see Holy shit, I have that problem. You might get into that shiny tool thing. But I think that's really good. So at least starting to get familiar there, because it can get very overwhelming. And then a couple people on LinkedIn, a couple of people on TikTok that are just AI influencers. Sabrina Romanov on TikTok and Nate something, weird dude with like a ski hat. Those two I follow on TikTok. There's a couple on LinkedIn. I can't really think of the names though. But I think that's it. It's just exposure. It's like you were talking about. Take 15 minutes a day. Like, so I had this discussion with my girlfriend last weekend. So I've been trying to get her more into AI, and she's in finance. Now, with this new Claude Finance thing, it is like changing the game. And she's coming back. I was frustrated last week, and I got to do this cash flow analysis. I don't know what to do. I said, look, because I got her into GBT and Gemini, but she's like, you're going too fast for me. Why do I need to do this Claude thing? I'm already paying $20. I said, look, she goes, I don't have time to do it. I said, that's exactly why you're looking at it the wrong way. And this is the way I recommend everybody look. Don't look at it as I don't have the time to do this. Look at it that this 30 minutes I spend now is going to save me 2 hours later in the week.
It all comes back to time, to giving you back time. There may be an upfront investment, but at the end of the day, it's about saving the time of knowledge work, regardless of what industry it might be. So, Greg, thank you for coming on. This was a wonderful conversation. For the folks listening, what would be, if they're interested in your services, what would be the best way to get in touch with you?
Sure. Best would just be to go to my website, which is gsquaredadvisors.com. And just take a look around there. I've got a sales health check on there. It's normally a paid service, but if any of your listeners wanted to take advantage of that, I'd be willing to do that on the house. They just need to shoot me an email, and I'll give them the password to go into that. And that'll give them a kind of a good little overview. It only takes about 5 minutes to go through the analysis, and they'll be able to figure out some areas they can focus on to help increase their sales as well.
Well, we appreciate that. Thanks once again, Greg Grand, CEO of G Squared Advisors. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Hunter. Appreciate it. Bye now.